The icy blue surface shimmered under the light, each glossy inch reflecting the tiny cartoon ants marching in a curving line. With their big white eyes, the ants looked determined, yet innocently comical, a delightful parade gliding across a frozen world. Suddenly, amid the formation, one small ant became the focal point, marked by a bold red arrow that pointed straight at it. "What makes you so special?" wondered Benny, the largest ant, as he eyed the one highlighted by the arrow. The arrow seemed strangely out of place against the playful backdrop, and a tingle of anticipation raced through the tiny ant colony. Benny's curiosity piqued as he tried to figure out why this particular ant was singled out. "Hey, Tom," Benny called to his companion, a rather clueless but agreeable ant with a long strip of candy wrapping stuck to his back. "Why do you think they chose that ant? What's so important about him?" Tom squinted his big white eyes toward the pointed arrow. "Maybe it's a new mission. I heard the elder ants talking about something big happening. What if he's the chosen one?" Benny shrugged, his antennae twitching. "Chosen for what? We're all just ants doing what ants do. Carrying crumbs, building tunnels, and avoiding those nasty little birds." But even as he spoke, a wave of unease washed over him. What if there was more to this arrow? What if it meant a game, a quest? He looked back at the little guy under the red arrow. The ant had never been the center of attention before, and it was time to find out why. "Let's get closer," Benny suggested. The line of ants continued to march, obediently following the icy path, but an invisible thread of tension began to pull at Benny's heart. He nudged Tom. "We need to see what he does." As they sidled closer, they could hear the little ant chat nervously with a couple of bees hovering above. The familiar buzz made Benny's insides knot. Bees could be dangerous, and they often had their own agendas. "What are they saying?" Tom whispered, trying to strain his ears over the hum of the line. "Sure," Benny hissed, inching closer to the conversation. The little ant, now clearly overwhelmed, stammered. I just want to help. I don't understand what you want from me." "Control," one of the bees replied in a deep, burly voice. "You have a special attribute, and we need you to use it. Otherwise, our hive, and this entire section of the icy land, will be lost." Benny was taken aback. What was this special attribute? And who, or what were they losing it to? He traded wide eyes with Tom, fear bubbling beneath their bewilderment. "Lose it to what?" Tom croaked, his curiosity getting the best of him. "It sounds serious." Before they could find the courage to move any closer, an eerie shadow swept across the path, blocking out the light. Instinctively, the ants froze, heads snapping up toward the ominous figure towering above. It was an enormous bird, its feathers glistening like sharp ice, its beady eyes scanning the ground. "What are you doing, little ants?" it squawked, its voice harsh and laden with malice. "Nothing but a feast waiting to happen. You shouldn't be out here, and that little ant shouldn't be talking to the bees." Benny's heart dropped. What if the little ant got snatched up by the bird? "We need to warn him," he shouted, breaking the silence of the marching line. But before he could react, the little ant looked directly into the beady eyes of the bird, his tiny voice rising in defiance. "I'm not afraid of you. I have a purpose, and I will fulfill it." The bird let out a thunderous caw, sending tremors through the icy surface, but the little ant's courage shone bright. Benny's heartbeat quickened as he watched the unfolding scene, unable to tear his gaze away. Something incredible was happening. Something powerful. Suddenly, the swarm of bees dove towards the bird, creating an intricate buzz that filled the air with chaos. "Get away from him," they shouted, weaving around, distracting the bird while the little ant verged on the precipice of an unknown fate. Benny felt a surge of adrenaline. This is it, he thought. This is the adventure I didn't know I wanted. As the bees and bird clashed above, Benny exchanged glances with Tom, and in that moment of tension, an unspoken agreement formed. They couldn't just stand by. If this little ant had a purpose, then so did they. They had to find out what it meant, even if it led them down a turbulent path filled with the unpredictability of a swarm, a fearsome predator, and the secrets hidden beneath the icy surface they marched upon. "Let's get involved, Tom," Benny shouted, rallying the other ants to join him, their spirits ignited by the fight unfolding around them. With a determined clatter, they began to shift their formation, prepared to dive into whatever chaos awaited, and to uncover the truth behind the little ant marked by the bold red arrow. Benny felt a rush of exhilaration surge through him as he and Tom led their fellow ants into the fray. The chaotic dance of buzzing bees and the menacing shadow of the bird painted a vivid battlefield among the icy blue backdrop, fueling their collective resolves. If the little ant, highlighted by the bold red arrow, had a purpose, they would stand united to uncover it, no matter how daunting the challenge. Charge! Benny bellowed, rallying his comrades as they scurried forward, marching alongside the bees. We won't let this bird take our friend. The little ant, still locked in a standoff with the towering bird, glanced back in surprise, the fiery spirit flickering within him. Surrounded by his friends, he seemed to draw strength from their bravery. He called out, "I'm not just any ant. I have something to protect, an important message to share." The bird squawked in disbelief, ruffling its feathers as it prepared to lunge, its sharp talons glinting in the light, ready to snatch up the tiny ant. The moment felt suspended in time, a heartbeat of fear mixed with hope. One of the fiercely buzzing bees zoomed in, darting right in front of the bird's eyes. "You won't get him. You'll have to go through us first." The bird lashed out, but the agile bees maneuvered perfectly, threading through the air with uncanny speed. Benny and the little ant watched in awe, inspiration lighting their tiny faces. "We have to help them," Benny urged, feeling a rising tide of courage. With a boldness he hadn't known he possessed, Benny turned and shouted to his fellow ants. "We can distract the bird. We'll be the ground crew, drawing its attention while the bees keep it at bay." Tom, always beside him, nodded vigorously. "Let's carve a path and create some chaos." With newfound determination, they scattered in all directions, stirring up the icy dust beneath their tiny feet and performing an elaborate dance of deception. Their intent was undeniable. The bird's focus soon shifted toward the erratic movements of the marching ants. "Look at them. Pathetic little creatures." The bird sneered, narrowing its eyes. "You think you can distract me? You will all be mine." But the ants continued their rouse, zigzagging and bumping into each other, their wide white eyes reflecting the energy of urgency. Benny felt a powerful surge of camaraderie. They were no longer just a group of ants marching in line. They were a team, an army united by a single cause. The bees continued to swarm aggressively, harrying the bird, whispering swift strategies amongst their ranks. "Keep it busy. Hold it off a little longer," they shouted, dodging and diving, drawing the bird's beady attention. In that moment, Benny caught the gaze of the little ant again. The red arrow still loomed above him, a beacon of significance that no one quite understood yet. The ant's voice quivered with newfound resolve. "You have to believe in yourself," he shouted, addressing not just the bird, but everyone around him. "What we have is worth fighting for." Benny's chest swelled. That was it, the heart of their struggle. "He's right," Benny yelled to his fellow ants, the sound of his voice demanding attention. "We can't let fear control us. We have a bond, and we need to protect each other." As one, the ants surged forward, their tiny legs moving faster than ever. In the chaos, they began to create a massive distraction, swarming around the bird's feet. They clambered up, down, and around in a whirlwind of activity, drawing it further away from the little ant and the bees. The bird flapped its wings in agitation, trying to shake loose the tiny creatures enveloping it. "You annoying little nuisances," it screeched, but it was clearly losing patience. Taking advantage of the bird's distraction, the little ant darted sideways, skirting past the immense shadow of danger. "This way!" he cried to Benny and Tom, pointing towards a nearby crack in the ice that gave off a faint blue glow. "We can take refuge there. We might find answers." The horror of having been so close to being captured felt like a distant memory, while the bigger adventure beckoned. The ants split, forming a protective barrier around the little ant as they scuttled toward the glowing crack. Just as they reached its entrance, the bird wasted no time in lunging again, its long beak aimed directly at them. "You'll never escape." But Benny, filled with an unshakable determination, pushed his way to the front. Into the crack. He yelled, "Now!" In a frantic dash, the ants squeezed into the narrow, icy passage, feeling the cool air envelope them. The crack swallowed them whole, the vibrant blue glow drawing them into its depths as the piercing cries of the bird faded behind them. They spilled out on the other side, finding themselves in a massive underground chamber that gleamed with rich blue crystals reflecting their tiny forms. The world around them felt both magical and miraculous, an untouched expanse that pulsed with a gentle energy, inviting and yet mysterious. Panting, they turned around, the jagged entryway still visible. Wary of the danger they had just escaped, the little ant looked around at his new companions. "We made it," Benny beamed with pride. "Together. But what now?" As they caught their breath, Benny felt an electric thrill wash over him. What secrets could this place hold? He pondered aloud, a mix of excitement and anxiety enveloping the air. They had escaped one danger only to step into the unknown. Then, out of the shimmering blue shadows, a deep rumbling voice echoed. "You have entered the realm of the crystal ants. What is your purpose here, tiny intruders?" Benny's heart raced as they turned to face the source of the voice, the air thick with the anxiety of what might await them within this mystical chamber. They had embarked on a journey unlike anything they had ever imagined, and the fate of their newfound friend, the little ant with the red arrow, hung precariously in the balance. The deep rumbling voice echoed through the crystal chamber, vibrating the very ground beneath them. Benny and his fellow ants felt a collective shiver of fear dashed with excitement at the sight before them. They squinted into the dazzling light to see the silhouette of a much larger ant emerging from the shadows, its gossamer wings gliding gracefully, reflecting the glimmering crystals surrounding them. "I am Loomis, the guardian of the crystal ants," the voice declared, growing clearer as the figure stepped forward. "You tread upon sacred ground, unseen by any but my kind. Now tell me, what brings you to this hidden sanctuary?" Benny, with heart racing and mouth suddenly dry, stepped forward. He felt a surge of bravery course through him. We are here to help." This little ant, he pointed to the small figure marked by the bold red arrow, "has an important message to share. We're here to protect him." The chamber reverberated with whispers as the crystal ants began to gather around them. Their crystalline forms cast a kaleidoscope of colors against the icy blue walls, making the space feel dreamlike and surreal. Loomis raised an antenna, silencing the murmurs. "So, you believe this one carries a message of significance?" "Yes," the little ant burst out, a spark of determination in his voice. "I was chosen to bring word of a coming threat, a darkness that seeks to consume the land where we all live." The larger ant tilted its head slightly, absorbing the weight of the words spoken. "And you chose to come here for guidance?" The little ant nodded, his wide white eyes glimmering with fervor. "I don't know what that darkness means, but I heard the bees mention that if we don't act soon, everything will be lost." The atmosphere thickened with tension. Loomis stood still for several heartbeats before responding. "Then you have ventured forth with bravery, a trait admired among my kind. However, not all find the path of truth easy to walk. The darkness you speak of draws nearer, hidden behind the fabric of shadows." Benny exchanged worried glances with Tom and the other ants. "What can we do?" Benny questioned, sensing that time was slipping away. "We're just tiny ants. How can we possibly make a difference against something so powerful?" Loomis unfurled his wings, the crystalline patterns shimmering under the translucent glow. "Strength does not come from size alone. Those who unite their spirits can wield great power, even against the most formidable foes. If you are willing to embrace your journey, I can guide you." The anticipation in the air was nearly palpable. "Will you help us?" The little ant pleaded, his voice small yet unwavering, filled with hope. "Indeed," Loomis replied, a glint of determination igniting in his eyes. Your unity has already proven that you are more formidable together than apart. He gestured toward the far side of the chamber, where a glowing crystal pulsated gently. Step forth to the crystal heart. It holds the wisdom of our ancestors, and it shall reveal the path you must take. Benny felt a rush of adrenaline. Could they truly make a difference? He turned to his fellow ants, who were already nodding, their tiny faces filled with renewed purpose. Together, they scampered toward the crystal heart. As they approached, the warm blue light enveloped them, shimmering across their bodies and illuminating their hearts. Benny could feel the energy radiating from the heart, wrapping around him like a comforting blanket, until the vibrant glow washed through them all. At that moment, the heartbeat of the chamber synchronized with their own. Images flashed before their eyes, visions of battles long past, of friendships forged in flame, and of a noble guardian who stood bravely against encroaching darkness. They saw a great shadowy figure looming over a landscape of ants, birds, and bees alike, threatening to swallow their world whole. Suddenly, the images coalesced into clarity, revealing how the forces of light and darkness were caught in an eternal struggle, and that the key to victory lay not just in courage, but in the bonds of friendship and unity. With the visions retreating, the ants found themselves back in the chamber, panting with awe. "What was that?" Tom gasped, looking at Benny, who was equally transfixed. "That was our legacy," Loomis explained softly. "It is the power of unity that drives us forward, that gives us strength against the shadows." He paused, allowing the weight of his words to settle. "If you are willing to embrace it, I will guide you to harness this power and unite the creatures of our world." "What do we need to do?" Benny asked, a fire sparking in his core. Loomis gestured to the entrance of the chamber. "You must gather the factions, fierce ants like yourselves, the bees who buzz with determination, even those who soar above, like the birds. You must convince them to stand together, for the forces of darkness will exploit the disarray among you." As he spoke, the walls shimmered with new images, bees rallying, birds taking flight, ants marching in solidarity. "Work together, and you shall create a powerful alliance, one that can face the darkness head-on," Loomis urged. "But how do we summon them?" the little ant asked, his expression a mixture of hope and fear. "You must speak to each of their leaders, for they will not easily heed the call," Loomis replied. "Time is of the essence. The shadow grows closer with each moment wasted. Are you ready to embark on this quest?" Benny took a deep breath, feeling the weight of responsibility settle strongly upon his shoulders. But with the spirits of his comrades beside him, he felt emboldened. "We're ready. We'll do whatever it takes." The room erupted with tiny cheers, a symphony of hope and resolve. They were no longer just ants from a simple colony. They were a team forged in fire, ready to take on the challenges of their unfolding destiny. "We will protect our home and our kind," they shouted in unison. Loomis nodded approvingly, his wings shimmering in the light. "Then gather your strength, my brave friends. The journey awaits, and your destinies are about to intertwine. Remember, your unity will be the key to overcoming the darkness." With that, the ants gathered together, their hearts pounding in rhythm, and set forth for the adventure ahead. They might be small, but in each other's company, they felt larger than life, ready to face whatever shadow threatened their world. The destiny of their home rested not just on the little ant with a bold red arrow, but on the bonds they forged along the way. With the shimmering promise of adventure ahead, Benny and his fellow ants surged forward, bolstered by a newfound sense of purpose. The remains of the crystal chamber gave way to a narrow, winding tunnel that pulsed with an inviting glow. As they traveled through the passage, the air around them thickened with anticipation, and the sounds of their tiny feet echoed in the silence, merging with the resolute beats of their collective hearts. "Where do we find the bee and bird leaders?" Benny asked, glancing back at Loomis, whose wings caught the light in a mesmerizing dance. "The bees reside in a vast floral meadow, while the birds nest upon the cliffs overlooking the valley," Loomis replied, his voice steady and calm. "However, be wary, Both tribes hold their prejudices. The bees are proud and cautious, while the birds may look down upon your kind. But we've got to make them see that we're stronger together, the little ant interjected, determination streaming from his small frame. Yes, indeed, Loomis affirmed. Lead with your hearts and show them the truth of your unity. Forge bonds not just with words, but with actions that demonstrate your intent. As they neared the tunnel's end, a rush of sunlight flooded in, spilling over them like liquid gold. They emerged from the darkness into a lush and vibrant meadow, bursting with color. Flowers swayed gently in a warm breeze, their sweet scents dancing in the air, inviting them into a world teeming with life. Benny took a moment to soak in the sights, awed by the beauty surrounding them. But urgency gnawed at him. Which way should we go first? The flowers to the west, Loomis pointed with an elegant flick of his antenna. That is where the bees gather, preparing their hives for the seasons ahead. Start there. And so, with Loomis guiding them, the ragtag group of ants scurried toward the dazzling expanse of blossoms. As they drew nearer, the air grew thick with the buzzing of countless bees busy at work, flitting from bloom to bloom. But as they approached, a booming voice called out, startling them. Who dares to enter the territory of the bees? A large bee with golden stripes stood guard, his wings folded firmly across his chest, a look of incredulity on his face. We mean no harm, Benny called out, stepping forward. We seek the help of the bees. There is a darkness approaching our home, and we need your strength to fight it. The guard bee raised an eyebrow, skepticism etched across his features. Why should we trust you? Ants are often seen as pests. What makes you think we will fight alongside you? Benny felt the weight of the moment pressing heavily on him. He understood that their past actions might be held against them. Under Loomis's watchful gaze, he spoke from his heart. Because we realize that our strength lies in unity, not just among ants, but with everyone willing to stand against the darkness. We are not just asking for help. We're offering friendship and alliance. As the guard bee considered his words, Benny continued, we all stand to lose much in the face of this threat. If we don't band together, it could mean the end for all of us. The ants, the bees, the birds, everyone. The tension in the air crackled as the guard bee exchanged glances with other worker bees gathering nearby. He finally relented, lowering his wings and nodding. You have spoken bravely. Very well, I will take you to our queen. If what you say resonates with her, we may stand together. With renewed hope, they followed the guard deeper into the meadow, weaving through countless buzzing bees who paused momentarily to observe the curious gathering of ants. As they approached a large, intricately designed hive, a sense of awe engulfed Benny. This was not just a structure, it was a stronghold, bursting with life and purpose. Inside the hive, the air was warm, humming with energy. Just beyond a grand chamber, they glimpsed her, a magnificent queen bee, regal and resplendent, her presence commanding respect. In the midst of her workers, she listened intently, and as they entered, her gaze fell upon them. What brings such an unusual delegation to my hive? She asked, her voice melodic yet firm. Benny stepped forward again, emboldened by the queen's attention. Your Majesty, we come to seek your alliance against the shadow that threatens us all. Without your strength, we fear we cannot protect our home. The queen remained silent for a moment, considering their plea as she observed the united front of ants and her loyal workers. Finally, she spoke. Should you prove your commitment to this cause, I will consider your request. Our strength is powerful, but it is rooted in trust. Show us your determination through action. What must we do? The little ant asked eagerly, his eyes bright with enthusiasm. You must retrieve the shimmering nectar from the ancient oak tree across the meadow, she instructed. It is said to possess great power and is a vital resource for our kind. If you can do this, it will show us your dedication. Then, we shall discuss how we can unite against the coming darkness. Benny rallied his friends together. We can do this. Right, team? The other ants cheered, emboldened by their first small victory in gaining the bees' favor. With newfound purpose, they set out toward the ancient oak tree, navigating through fields of vibrant blooms and working alongside the bees who guided them. Upon reaching the towering oak, they found its trunk adorned with glimmering gems of nectar, glowing softly in the sunlight. But it was guarded by a clever and nimble squirrel who stood defiantly at its base, his eyes glinting with mischief. "You think you can just waltz in here and take what doesn't belong to you?" the squirrel chattered, crossing his small arms. "You'll have to outsmart me first." Benny exchanged glances with the little ant, and they nodded, understanding that this was another test on their journey. "All right, we accept your challenge," Benny announced, his voice firm. "But know this, we work together. If we win, you'll let us take the nectar." "Very well. Let the games begin," the squirrel replied, hopping back and setting the stage for their first trial of wits. The games went on for what felt like hours, filled with riddling tasks and learning to cooperate as a team. They faced challenges that tested their strength and offering through complex puzzles, and yet, as a united force, they overcame each one. Ant, bee, and little ant working in perfect harmony. Finally, after their last challenge, the squirrel tipped his hat. "You've proven your cleverness and your teamwork. Take the nectar. It is yours." With cheers erupting from both the ants and the bees, Benny led the group back to the hive, nectar shimmering like stars in the sunlight, realizing they had taken another leap closer to securing a powerful alliance. The bees erupted in delighted buzzes, their queen nodding with approval. As they presented the shimmering nectar, a new sense of hope blossomed within their hearts. The first step had been taken, but challenges awaited them still beyond the horizon. Benny felt the dawn of a new chapter in their journey ahead, one that would require courage, unity, and friendship beyond measure. For the shadows would not wait, and the call to action could not be ignored. Together, they would have to rise, unfurling their wings against the encroaching darkness, not just as ants and bees, but as a united force ready to reclaim their peace. This was their moment, where dreams of harmony danced ever closer to reality, and the strength of bonds formed under duress would shine brightest when tested the most.